We started our podcast, The Car Debate, in August of 2014. In the past 11 years, we've done 999 episodes helping listeners find the perfect car. Along the way, we've led road trips, adventures, and built a community beyond anything we imagined. So for our 1000th episode, we wanted to do something special, something big.
One of our patrons suggested driving cars owned by our audience, and we took that idea and made it into a 5,000-mile, 2-week road trip of driving, filming, and celebrating. In the middle of it all, we hosted a 2-day track day at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, which leads us 22 stories above the track to the first ever podcast from the tower at COTA, our 1000th podcast.
I'm going to stand here for a second because holy crap, we are 22 stories up on the top of the COTA Tower. We have had an amazing track day, and just to make it extra spicy before we did this 1000th podcast live from here, all of the tech decided to not work. So we had to redo all the steps. So I'm sorry about being late, but we're here. I'm coming down from that stress ball, but we had an unbelievable track day here. Karting's still going on. That's cool. An unbelievable track day here. We had no incidents. COTA loved having us. You and I are at the top of COTA Tower with people paying attention, which is even weirder.
That is weird. People are still coming off of the elevator, and we have set the record for the amount of chairs, COTA tells us, in the top of the COTA Tower. So I think we're at 39, close to 40 chairs.
Something like that.
There's also been a concert up here, but we are proud owners of being the first podcast live stream from the top of the COTA Tower. We're very proud of that. And I can't thank you all enough.
Yes.
It's not awesome.
Yeah. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you guys.
It's really, really cool.
You know,
I'm astonished.
You know that part of your life you think, how did I get here?
Yeah.
What sequence of events led to this moment? And it's been an 11-year podcast journey, 1,000 episodes, and we're so glad that you are watching. And I am not going to go over the glass floor. I'm not going to go over the edge.
While you were away, we were still doing setup. People were putting your chair on top of the glass.
I know. It's fine.
It's pretty awesome.
It's fine.
It's pretty awesome. There
Texas
are chairs
is flat, though.
over here, and there's a chair back here. If those of you that are standing want to sit, okay. Those that are off camera want to be even farther from the glass. That's how that's working. Yeah. What I'm also amazed about is we even have a podcast 1000 wristband.
We do. I didn't get one. Am I allowed to be here?
Yeah, we snuck you in early.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
sorry.
Exactly. So 1,000 podcasts is an absurd amount of the two of us talking. My wife and son have not listened to every podcast because they hear a lot of me talking. Thank you guys. There have been people I have met from nationwide that have come here, in some cases just for the podcast, and I find that difficult to comprehend. I really do.
Yeah, this is such a culmination of events and stress and fun, a lot along the way. And I'm going to start off with a question from Derek, our friend Derek Miller, because you asked on Discord about how does it feel to have affected people's lives like we have. And it doesn't occur to me. It still doesn't. It hasn't sunk in that people are listening and watching. And like, you do?
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Thanks.
Yeah, no,
thanks for watching.
People traveled to be here. I mean, look, Derek asked this question, and I'll be honest, it was sobering because I want all of you guys to understand that I hold this very loosely, and I am astonished that people hang out. I'm astonished that people listen, that they watch. People were watching earlier. We had old YouTube videos, probably a mistake, playing in the COTA room.
Everybody's like, you look so young.
You look really young, man, which is a fantastic insult. I really like that.
You.
That was good. Yeah. So anyway, this is what happens over time. I'm sorry. But no, I never take it for granted. I am astonished every time we release a video and it gets a viewer count with a comma in it.
I know.
That's pretty astonishing. So thank you guys for being here. We have various questions that you've all listed. You made the comment, Derek, that friendships have been formed out of this show. And to be honest with you, that is the coolest thing. The fact that people that have watched this show or listened to this show have met other people that they feel are like-minded, that's really cool. We take this pilgrimage trip every year and we go over to the Ring and Spa, and we have those really good partners over there, RSR, and they say to us every year, the people you bring are the coolest. And I go, I don't have control over that, but apparently...
You tell that to everyone.
Probably.
You say that to everyone.
They may, but they do seem to like it. But I will say this. I think you and I have a vibe that is not a bro vibe.
Yeah.
We have a non-ego vibe.
Yeah.
because that's just the way we operate.
Yep.
And thankfully, I feel like that has drawn similar people that we want to hang out with. And that resonates when we go places. And I love the people that we've met. And it's cool to see so many faces here that I've seen at other events. And people that are like, oh, well, I listened to you because my buddy listened to you, and I've listened to you for longer than he has, and a crazy stories going on.
Well, the other part of that is that we can't tell anybody anything new because they're like,
No,
yeah,
that's true.
I heard you already on the podcast.
After 1,000 podcasts, we're done. Good night, everybody.
But how about this story? And they're like, yeah, I heard that too. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
okay, so what are we going to talk about?
There are no inside jokes.
There's no, exactly.
That's
exactly.
actually the craziest thing is we'll go somewhere and we'll start an inside joke, and the person across the table who I feel like I just met is nodding at me like, yeah, I know the end of that story. So,
but what does happen is conversation turns to cars immediately, and that is the through line. It is friendships. It is people. It's you guys. And I realized, I was thinking months ago, all right, podcast 1000. What are we going to talk about? Are we going to have a special guest? Are we going to, what are we going to do? And then, the top of the COTA Tower became available, and we thought that's pretty special. And
you said, I don't want to go up there.
I don't want to go up there.
Yeah.
I don't want to really. Yeah. Okay, there's the floor.
Yeah, there it is. Yep.
And I thought, okay, do we have guests? Do we do, something that is out of character for us just to celebrate? And the answer is no. It's to have you guys here. And I can't think enough. It's just, it's that through line. So people start talking about cars, and the conversations last into the night. And then, what restaurant or bar are we going to next? And the conversations continue. And it's continued at this Hooked on Driving track day. We're very thrilled that people have come from all over the nation to come to this day. But it seems this is truly that meshing, audiences and track drivers. Some people have heard of the show, other people haven't, and that's totally fine. It's not offensive in any way. I'm glad to talk to people and spread that.
I had a conversation earlier with a guy who's here, and his wife is here as well, tolerating him and us. And he said that when they go on road trips, she falls asleep to the sound of our voices, which we've heard before. But then he wakes her up and goes, "Hey, honey, let me turn this part up. That's not about cars." So it happens. I mean, we do say on the podcast that we start about cars and go to everything else, because that is true. It's a fantastic through line that I feel like is not religion, not politics, not volatile. And we can get into some of the big stuff of life, because I feel like cars, through what you're saying, cars are universal, but they're non-biased in many ways. And you can get into other topics from there. So I just like that connectivity. We've got so many little questions that I wrote down. I have a sheer curiosity question. Is there anybody here that's been listening, not gone back, been listening since the first episode? One.
One.
That's not bad. I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's more than one. That's more than one.
More than zero. That's fine. It was a long time
Thank
ago.
you.
And I don't know that it was worth listening to. Last time I heard that one, I was like, oh, wow. So here we are. Yeah, that's good. There was a comment here about, in 2006, before we were on YouTube, we shot the half-hour TV pilot. Okay?
Yeah.
Right at the end of 2006. Did post in 07, shopped it in 08, etc. Okay? Yep. We rented both of these, a brand new 2006 Boxster, and at that time, brand new 2006 Lotus Elise. And in that piece, we are both just kind of little excited kids that we can't believe we're getting the opportunity to drive these cars at all. And somebody asked,
people rented these to us?
Exactly.
Those fools.
Have they met us? Exactly right. So, but the question is, okay, let's go back to 06 and let's jump to now. Obviously, that was pre-podcast, but you and I just spent a track day at a track organization that we somehow are in charge of. And we had my Emira and your GT4, which are the worlds above those. And it's astonishing to me that that's a thing. But people asked, how has our perception of cars changed? And how have we maybe changed as drivers?
I think it's certainly changed with technology. You've seen all kinds of new technologies being invented, but what hasn't gone out of style is people's love for lightweight, fun cars. And I still maintain that manufacturers need to keep building those. Manufacturers, if you're listening ever in the future and you're curious, this is your time. I feel like, manufacturers need to keep even at a loss, almost at a loss.
Well, yeah, some of them are. Yeah.
But what's going to continue is people going back to those old cars. So old cars are not going away. We're not done with them. We're not using them for a few years, decade. We're not done.
Well, it's happening already. I mean, we're seeing all the old cars, 20 years ago cars, are the ones that are going up.
Yeah.
Now, some of that's nostalgia and moving through, the history of people, but still, it's very cool. I was thinking about the fact that I think over the time of the show, I've become more obsessed with steering feel.
You have, almost to the point of comparing every car to Lotuses.
Yes, which is you said it to me years ago. You said not every car can be in a lease.
Not
and you
every
were
car's a
100%
Lotus.
right. And sometimes when I really want to go on a rant, I just go,
This
he's right.
stupid SUV is not like a Lotus. I'm like,
Yeah, that is true. That's very true.
Gotcha.
That's one of the main things I thought of that's been different in my experience. But I didn't know if you had any others.
It's been, cars are like skis. Cars are like mountain bikes.
Land that plane.
Because you and I, we go mountain biking. By the way, we have Monday morning meetings on the mountain, on mountain bikes.
But they're already jealous. Stop.
Well, I didn't say it. I didn't say it for that reason. I just said it because we're like, wow, these skis. Like, am I this good of a skier? Like, I got better at mountain biking. Like I could take that faster or different or something. And that's what's happened to cars, of course, by virtue of technology, by virtue of tires. Manufacturers continuing to push on things, and I see the mechanical thing, just that through line, continually getting better. Just companies doing skis, companies building mountain bikes. Cars are right there for us too. I feel like
something that we joked about doing, and I do want to try to catch you out with this a little bit.
I've got some for you.
Giving each other weird car debates that are based on. I'm sorry, Bodie. That are based on people that we don't know, have not written in, that we think are interesting for the other one to tackle. They are, in my case, they're from history and they're related to design and art.
Okay.
So if he were alive today, what would Da Vinci drive?
Oh, that's tough.
I'll give you a minute. It's fine.
That's
I put you
tough.
on the spot. That's what we're doing here.
Da Vinci.
That's what we're doing.
Da Vinci.
I don't think the questions get harder, actually, but keep going.
I am not convinced he would drive a car.
Okay.
Based on his sketches, based on his love for helicopters and whirling devices that were a through line throughout all of Da Vinci's sketches.
Okay.
So I think something very stripped down, basic atom.
An aerial atom. That's
atom.
Interesting. Where you can see the parts moving. I see that.
Parts.
That's good.
You can see parts because he sketched parts a lot and wanted to understand why they work together. Your Emira has the shift mechanism visible. That kind of thinking, and aerial atom is where I'm going with that because it's deconstructivist.
Okay.
And I think that's where he would go. So aerial atom is my answer.
That's excellent. I really like that. All right, you're stumping me now, I guess.
Okay, so I chose 3. I'm going to give you a choice. You can tackle all 3 if you want.
All right, I've got 2 more for you. Don't
worry.
You do?
Okay. Okay. Well.
Shoot. For sure. Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah. No worries.
Well, I'm going to start with somebody who is still alive, but all 3 of the people that I have chosen for you are pioneers in their field.
Okay.
And the first one has to do with, all 3 of them relate to the things you love.
All right.
The first one is filmmaking.
Okay.
And it's somebody you have mentioned quite a bit. It's James Cameron.
Okay.
And James has completely changed how every filmmaker approaches their projects, but also he's an adventurer and an explorer. And he has been to the bottom of the Mariana Trench by himself. On purpose.
When you become a billionaire, you just start doing things like that.
I think it's less about having the money and just, I guess, what's Tuesday like?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Let's try something. I think it's constantly trying to take information from the world to make films better. And I know that's what you do. When you meet people, I've had friends who design shoes, and they'll shake somebody's hands and they'll look at their feet. What are you wearing? I know a lot of people buy their cars. I hate to say it, but
yes, we absolutely.
Hey,
I don't know your name, but your Cayman is awesome.
What do you drive again? Like, it's you.
Yeah, for sure.
So I definitely default to that. But James Cameron, what would he drive? And he's an outdoorsman, adventurer. He's a waterman.
Yeah.
Explorer. No Outbacks.
No Outbacks. True. Yeah. Good. I mean, what's funny is somebody's probably sitting here doing it, looking up what he actually drives. But so it probably is something mundane like an Outback. But I think of him as a guy that is about technology that is just off center. Like he's a tech guy, but it's not the stuff we're thinking about now. It's the thing we're headed toward. So, and I also think he's a guy that's probably intrigued by electric cars and their tech. As much as I would like him to be an adventurer guy, I think he's looking out at tech and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to say a Lucid.
Oh, that's
I think
good.
he's a Lucid driver.
Lucid.
He's probably driving like a Land Rover for all I know, but I'm going to go Lucid. Yeah.
Lucid is interesting. There is a lot of tech, and there's a lot to discover that isn't mainstream tech.
Exactly.
That they have approached
yes.
completely differently.
Yes.
You know, what is the subject? Mm-hmm. Let's do it differently. What's our take on it? And that's what he does. That's excellent. I like that.
Another one for you.
Okay.
While I'm staying in concept.
Okay.
Picasso. What would Picasso drive?
Darn it. Well, we know it would be something painted blue because of his blue period. So we know that.
Nice. Good. Good.
Also deconstructivist. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. And it would come down to styling. Why am I looking over the edge?
It's only 22 stories. You're good. You're doing really well. Genuinely, you're doing really well. Yeah.
It would be something that is stylistically not for everyone and not appreciated until much later.
So a Volkswagen thing.
Are those appreciated now?
No, they are.
Appreciate them?
No.
Does anybody appreciate those?
Still aren't. Yeah.
Something that is interesting. It would be something not cohesive.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I see that. Yeah.
Karma.
Oh, okay.
Maybe the original Fisker Karma.
The original Fisker Karma. Yeah.
There were design themes fighting with other design themes, and there wasn't one single read and one single hierarchy. It wasn't this is the shoulder theme, this is the supporting themes or parts to the car. It was this crazy theme. It was this theme down here, that diamond pattern. It was themes everywhere, but somehow it all worked.
All right.
Somehow.
That's good. That's good.
It worked. And you look everywhere and, well, that's a completely different shape. That doesn't relate over here. That's a completely different shape back here.
Yeah.
But yet the whole worked.
Yeah.
That's what his
that's
art
good.
did.
Do we think somebody's going to give Henrik Fisker VC money to try cars a third time?
Car number 3? Company number 3, I mean?
Sorry, I just was wondering about that offhand.
Okay, in keeping with the theme of pioneers in their field,
okay,
you have a love for aviation.
Yeah.
And the person who first championed commercial flight, Amelia Earhart. Unfortunately, she passed. Late 30s. She was 37 or 39. I forget, somewhere in there. But she did not reach the age of 40.
Yeah.
And she was an adventurer. Yeah. Outdoor, again, no Outbacks.
No Outbacks. Got it.
Her.
Mission accomplished.
But
yes.
She viewed the world differently. It was for her taking.
All right.
And she took big strides.
Yeah.
Big leaps. How ambitious to cross oceans.
Yeah.
And then champion what we now know as normal.
Interesting.
What would she drive?
Because it's sad. She probably would drive something totally utilitarian to get to the airplane.
Outback just to get to the airport.
Exactly. Then the plane is cool.
Kick the door shut and get on a cool plane.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's either classic Land Rover, Range Rover, like the 70s, like the old one.
Ooh,
or
that's
if
good.
she went new, the Ineos Grenadier.
Ooh, that's good.
So which, is she going classic, or because I wonder if she would be a wrench, because I imagine she
would be a wrench.
You know what I mean?
She would be a
so
wrench.
The old Land Rover is also a challenge.
You
know what I mean? We can adventure in that, and we can also fix
That's good, because those adventurers, especially the pilots in Alaska, they would drain the oil from their engine on cold days and sleep with the oil and then put it back in their engine in the mornings and take warm oil in your engine so your engine would start. I think she would be one of those, and she would totally wrench on a Land Rover. I'm going 70s, like the early.
Okay, I've got one more for you. You got one more for me, but I'm curious. Do we have any questions that we should tackle in the stream yet? All right. I'm happy to tackle other questions.
Did say James Cameron has been seen driving an EQS.
Interesting.
Ooh.
All right,
You're getting close. That's Mercedes.
It's in the ballpark.
That's Mercedes trying things.
It is.
James
not
Cameron
succeeding,
has been successful.
mind you, but separate thing. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So does that mean EQS, like the boat sank, let's get over it, kind of?
Back to Titanic thing. You're doing well.
See, Titanic.
Really well. Yes, I like it. It's very good.
Incredible. He's got films. I noticed in my research, he has films slated for 2029 release.
Still,
Yeah,
Avatar
I mean,
4
he's supposed to do
coming
like
out.
14 avatars. I'm not sure how
Yeah,
long you
how
can
many
tell
more?
blue
Yeah.
people stories, but
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
Okay,
All
that's
right,
good.
all good.
That ties in.
All right.
Someone also said DaVinci and Pagani.
Yeah,
Da
I can see
Vinci
that.
and Pagani
Yeah,
would be
I can see a
good.
Pagani for him. Yeah, for sure. So my
Uh-huh.
last one for you is Frank Lloyd Wright.
Oh. 1982 Volvo 280.
It's a box. It's done. That's really
It's
good.
the box
I like
the
it.
got came in.
That is really good. I think you nailed that.
The old
That's
joke,
bravo, man.
right?
That's really good. I like that a lot.
Something, I mean, old ranges, but how interesting that rectilinear design still means high-end luxury.
Fair
In the
point.
Colin,
Fair point.
and
Yeah, there's that. You're a big
Why-
fan. I know
why-
you're a big fan. Yeah.
does that exist? But something rectilinear speaks to volume,
Yeah.
filling
Yeah,
a
yeah.
space, and it's luxury.
Okay.
This is good.
I see it. All right. What else you have for me?
Okay, I've got a good one
Uh-oh.
for you.
Uh-oh.
And you love the mountains. You love the outdoors and
Yeah.
climbing.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
The first person to ostensibly summit Mount Everest is George Mallory
Sure.
and Tenzing Norgay.
Yeah.
Now, Sir Edmund Hillary recognizes
Yeah.
George Mallory as being ostensibly the first person to summit Everest, even
It's
though
the getting down.
there's
that's the problem.
no
Yeah.
actual evidence,
Yeah.
even though they're putting the pieces together over things that have been
Yeah.
found and finding him years
Yeah.
later.
And they think that he did it. Yeah.
They think that he did it. And so I think the collective we, is willing to give credit to George Mallory for the first to summit Mount Everest. So
Sure.
pioneer
Yeah.
in his field. You love mountaineering, you love climbing.
Yeah.
What would George Mallory drive?
George Mallory drive. I can't say Land Rover again, can I?
No.
Because he was a Brit too, which
Yes.
is you
Yes.
stuck me there.
And you can
Um,
see the through line here. So pioneers in their fields.
Yeah, for sure. I like it. It's good stuff.
And yeah.
I just had a tacky thought.
Okay.
If he's got like lots of North Face backing, it's the Aston Martin SUV.
Oh. Oh.
Is he doing it on his? Is he
Doesn't leave the
doing it-
greatest taste in
It
my
doesn't.
mouth.
It doesn't. But he was that level of class.
He was,
Right?
he was.
that level of class. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go Aston Martin SUV, but I don't know
Okay.
that he was that flashy. Plus, I don't know if North Face and Patagonia are sponsoring him or not. That's how that would happen.
Did they exist?
Not
Yves
then,
Chenard
no.
did not
No,
exist. He wasn't
no,
even born.
We're,
was
we're
he?
bringing them all. We're
He
bringing them
wasn't
all
born.
forward. We're bringing
Okay.
them all to now.
All right.
That's my first answer. I'm trying to
Okay.
figure out what else George would have done. But
And he also
you know,
passed young. He passed.
did. He did.
He did not reach age 40.
you know what I'm actually going to go with? I actually think, because he was the kind of guy like Lawrence of Arabia, okay? British high society that went on crazy adventures. I think he's the guy that drives the like restored Aston Martin DB5 around and thinks he is James Bond when he hangs out in London, and then he
Oh,
vanishes for 6 months on an
like
adventure.
that.
It's that, and it's not the original. It's the restored one, like the ones they made for $500,000, the crazy ones.
The continuation
That-
cars.
those cars. I think it's one of those that he gets out and looks Savile Row, right, and is London and
That's
Bond, and then he
good.
leaves and might come back.
That is good. I'm all right. I'll give it to you. I like it. I like it.
All right, we've got any other fun questions coming in? I've got others here that I wrote down over the time, but
Yeah, one just came in.
okay.
The one Kia. I have a question for Todd. Who is the Ferrari of Hollywood studios? Super exclusive, beautiful products that are very expensive and very strong, enduring brand.
Apple TV right now is that. They've taken over what HBO used to be. So
Hmm.
Apple isn't necessarily even making any money, but because they sell these things, they don't have to. So they're the only studio that can pay exorbitant amounts of money for people to make very, very classy things. And if they fail, everybody goes, yeah, but it won awards, but nobody watched it, and they don't care.
Okay.
I'm curious to see how long
Okay.
that business model continues, but right now that's who they are.
It's good. All right. Keep going with some other questions.
Okay, here's a question. Because this is not only thousands, by the way, we are not doing this again soon. So that's why we're doing it now, because I still cannot believe this, by the way. We were on that track all day.
Yeah.
I gave rides. I rode right seat. I got to drive my own Emira. It was fantastic to be out here. There were so many good cars here. And they weren't all Porsches, which I also liked. There's some great Porsches here today. There was no.
That was a shot.
No. I'm saying that because of
No, I
what
hear
your
you.
brother-in-law said, where he made the comment where he went to one of our track days recently. And he said, "Do a lot of Porsches come to these?"
I'm going to tease him. He's probably watching. I hope, Daniel, that you're watching. And he said, are Porsches generally heavily represented at events like these?
Yes.
It's like, yes. Uh-huh.
But lots of great cars,
Yes.
lots of great cars. But so this is this very special 1000 podcast, but it also marks a turning point for us, because from here going forward, we're going to do one podcast a week, and it's always going to have a video element. So that's the thing we're going to do going forward, and we're very excited about that. But it also marks a change in this 2-a-week format. We started once a week. We started half hour. We're like, that's plenty. And then soon it became twice a week, and both of them an hour. And so what we're moving to is probably about a 90-minute video if you want it, or otherwise just audio. So the question is, what are we going to miss most about the twice-a-week format? And what are we looking forward to most about the new format coming?
Getting to 1,000 podcasts is it's been a lot. And I've never wanted it to seem like drudgery. And as soon as we end recording, I'm so glad we did. But it's the job that you and I created for ourselves. But we had to stick to it. We had to be consistent. And that meant doing it while we're traveling. That meant doing it all the odd hours when we're tired. We've, not in the best of moods. And we had to get through. And it always put me in a better mood. We had so much fun talking. We came up with stuff. We made each other laugh. Off camera, especially too. Or
for sure. There's stuff that on the cutting room floor no one will ever see.
As soon as we press stop. But I always felt better. I felt better about myself. I felt more relaxed. I was happier because it felt just like we were doing the thing that we love. And it comes back to creating the show that we wanted to watch and be a part of. And so it would be that consistency, but I guess good news, it's not going away, because I think the added element of being able to show you watching, show all of you what we're talking about, whether it's a dealer configurator or a okay, the Porsche configurator, but
understood.
Any configurator. Although I have been becoming obsessed with the new Ferrari F80. The configurator.
I know you have.
I am obsessed with it.
I don't understand that at all, but okay, all right, good. I
want to drive that car.
Okay.
So the consistency of that. But good news, we get to continue that. But it seemed like it wasn't the highlight of the week, and then we got to do it again, and it quickly became that. It was great.
Interesting that you say that, because there have been those moments over 1,000 podcasts where I came in like, okay, I guess we're doing this now, and we hit stop, and we're just like, that was fun.
That was just fun,
which is really cool. It's been a nice mental reset when times have been stressful. It's been really amazing how just sitting around talking cars is really fun. One of the things I am looking forward to in the new format is we're going to expand it a bit, and we're going to be able to do car debates, car conclusions, all in every episode. So we're going to be able to touch on those things faster. We're also going to allow ourselves to drift off into Paul must have ran about design. I want to talk about story. We're gonna give ourselves some space.
Todd will get
talk
up
about those things.
Have a granola bar, get a bottle of water.
Nobody wants to see that.
I'll be
still
talking about design.
Possibly that might happen.
Then
we'll leave the camera on you. No one will ever know. I'll just go off, do some work, come back.
Switch cameras.
Yeah. No, but I think that's going to be cool. I mean, you're right. There's things like configurators and stuff that we've talked about doing that would be hard. But I am genuinely concerned about making it a podcast that you feel like you have to watch. I want it to still be something that is very audio friendly. So that's very much on my mind. It's very much a concern for me, because that's the way I take in podcasts. I very rarely, even though I know I've ranted about this, I cannot believe that podcast named after a device that no longer exists is no longer audio, now has to be video. I don't understand the progression. But okay, I'm the old radio guy in me, I guess. But so we're going to make sure it's still audio friendly. But we're going to give ourselves the ability to run around a little bit, and that's going to be fun. Even though it's obviously based on cars, but sometimes, and sometimes it happens in the edit. Sometimes we head down a rabbit trail after we're like, that got way too far gone. We may not pull it back as far. So hopefully that's still enjoyable. Thank you, by the way, to those of you that are here that are patrons, which is many of you. You guys are vital to us. Some of you are very close friends, and it's just really cool to have that support. That is a big thing that matters. And, most of these questions that I'm looking at came straight from our Discord and from our patrons, which is really cool. And we're hoping to, I'm going to say it out loud. We're going to hope to do a fairly regular extra podcast for our middle patron layer. That's something else.
Guess that makes it a thing.
That's going to make it a thing right there. I've done it.
All right.
So yes, that's something we're going to do as well. And I'm looking forward to, again, after the 1,000 episodes, 11 years, it's just that slight tweak of something you like that makes it fresh again. And I'm excited about that part of it as well. And we'll see how much people want to watch us talk. I find it weird, but I mean, you're all here. So thank you. It's really cool.
But still enjoyable.
Absolutely.
Still, and knowing that we share that. And what's so great is when we see people on trips like this and we dive right in. It's like Friends. All of you have the friends that you dive right back in to where you left off. And that's what it feels like with every one of you. Yeah, it's fantastic. Cool. So, hey, you said this in the podcast. Tell me more. Like, let me finish my thoughts.
Yeah, I hear that.
Which has been great.
Any questions from here, from the room? I have stuff here but I'm curious if anybody has something that's on their brain that they want to ask. All of the hands shooting up all over the room. Okay, all good.
Favorite corner?
Of all tracks?
I was just going to say here, but yeah, no, all tracks.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
You know what? But I'll connect the dots, because here, my favorite corner here is very similar to my favorite corner that I can think of right off the top of my head. There's double gouge, dual left on Spa. Okay, and you turn in once, and you hit apex, and you hit outer edge, and you hit apex, and you can accelerate all the way out. And it's once you get it right, the entire rotation of the car is your right foot. You just turn the wheel, leave the wheel locked, and it's just right foot, and you can rotate the car. And down here, you can do it as well. 16, 17, 18, 19. That's the exact same thing going the other way. So double gouge is left, going here through the right. I just loved it all day, except it started to annoy me and remind me why I don't like the Emira seats enough. The Emira seats for that are like, I'm falling out of the car. The car's great, but I'm falling out. But I love that so much. That's good. That's very good.
I'm up there. I think there's not a particular corner. Yeah, there is. Eau Rouge Radiant.
Sure.
Up
both.
on the top at Spa. It's funny. I think you remarked to me that we have more experience at Spa than we do COTA or many other tracks, and it's a little weird to think about.
Yes, it's crazy.
But
I totally agree. Yeah.
It's for me, it's when I get a line figured out, and I still don't have a couple of these lines at COTA figured out, and I'm kind of frustrated at myself, but I know it'll come. I'm still working on it. We all have stuff to work on, so it's good.
Anything else on anybody's brain? Taking any and all questions. Hey, Jason, what's up?
Yes.
What do you think of the design of the COTA Tower?
You really like the glass floor. This is your favorite part.
Favorite part.
Yeah.
Why do we have to have a glass floor? Why do we have to have moon roofs? Like, why do you have to bake, sizzle? I actually didn't know that it's an amphitheater on the lowest level out to the northwest, just that way. I didn't realize it was a full amphitheater. The more that I study it, the more that I think it's really quite great, because it looks like a solid object, and being here, it is not. There's nothing solid. It's, again, almost deconstructivist. It's a lot of negative space that creates a body, and that's what's always been interesting to me. When you're sketching, drawing, you're sketching an idea, the negative space is just as important as the positive, as the thing that you're drawing. So that's what the COTA Tower represents to me. But it also has speed. 22 stories is a lot, but we're good. I'm doing all right.
You are. You're doing great.
I appreciate it a lot.
Knowing how much you're not happy being up here this high and having a glass floor, you're doing surprisingly well.
There's a monolith. There's the center elevator shaft.
Yeah.
This monolith, but also just this open air feel, which is quite nice. And I didn't realize how much I liked it until I was up here.
I didn't realize we were going to get to the 1000th podcast so you could say the word monolith. I mean, we're done, everybody. I think that's mission accomplished.
We've used a lot of words on this podcast.
Yeah, we have.
What else do we have?
There's another question that I read earlier that I thought was interesting. Somebody was noticing, and I'm glad, they're noticing how much you and I have really leaned into road trips as a big piece that we like doing. And we've talked before about the fact that it really is, genuinely, it's our favorite thing we do. Now, it is a staggering amount of work, but it is our favorite thing we do. And so their questions were twofold. One, do we plan to do more? And two, and on this one, what's our thing we're looking forward to most? And then do we plan to do more was a question about international. And the international question I'll answer right now. And yes, absolutely. I would love to do a couple of monster international road trip films. We've talked about it. You think it's expensive and time consuming to do the ones here.
Yes.
My Lord. But we have talked about it, and we're still talking about it. And it's something that we want to do. Whether we do or not, we're going to keep going back to the Ring and Spa every year, both with Everyday Driver and with Hooked on Driving. That's something that we're very excited about. The number of people and friends that we have met doing those trips. And what I love about going to Europe, I know this is a tangent, but what I love about going to Europe with people and getting on those two tracks is the fact that it feels like a pivotal event for so many people. Like, this is the period where I drove before those tracks, and this is the period where I drove after those tracks.
That's good.
It's a real milestone.
That's
and there
good.
are people, somebody here, I know Ted's here, and he's been on almost every one.
Yes,
but I don't know if maybe you coined the term, Ted. You may have coined the term that we use now, which is it's the once in a lifetime trip you should take every year. I think that is your term. That is
you,
which is fantastic. That is the tagline for the trip.
Yes.
And many of you have come more than once, which is awesome. So we want to do international. On this road trip, I got to be honest with you guys, we're kind of doing too much, honestly, because we're doing the road trip, which is get here. We want people to join.
That was a lot,
which is awesome.
Yes.
Those are two big steps. Then why don't we film it? let's just do that while we're doing it, because and then we can go to a track day and change gears and actually host a track day. So, you know, we had this great idea for everything converges, and then we got in the middle of it with this is a lot of things converging, which you'd think would have dawned on us earlier. But no, actually, the thing I'm looking forward to is the fact that we have this second half of the trip that is all roads we haven't done.
I'm with you on that.
And
I'm with you on that.
Many of you have said, "Where's your Tail of the Dragon time?" And we have people that are just joining us for Tail of the Dragon, which is going to be really cool. But I'm liking that we're doing the second half, and I also like that the premise of this series that we're doing, which is drive fans' cars, different cars every day while we do this road trip and film a series of things, came from one of our patrons on Discord. We said, wouldn't it be cool if it's something like this? And then I hit my brain, and then it went ba-boom, and here we are.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's really fun as well. But
We've
it's a
already
lot.
been thinking that through quite a bit and revisiting some really amazing cars that we've driven over the years. And I've gotten back in some already and gone, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, we both have the brands that we love, that we lean into, but I hope to experience more in my life. And for me, the road trips represent somewhat of a vacation, even though we're working our butts off.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
It's hard sometimes. Things go wrong, as we know. Things go wrong, and we have to deal with it. But I am so at a place in my life where now is the time. And I want to impart that to all of you. Now is the time. Now is, if you can and you can get away, do a road trip with whatever car that you've got. Now is do it. Get away, make that plan. And I've also realized about me, and that is, if I don't make a plan, it's not going to happen.
Sure.
If I don't just do it, I have to be very deliberate. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So that has helped me tremendously to just, okay, we've got dates on the calendar. Oh my gosh, we've got to work towards that.
Yeah.
Here it comes. And hopefully I've told this story. My grandfather always had something on the calendar 6 months out, and he lived to 102.
Yeah.
He always had something on the calendar to look forward to. And that's what road trips represent to me. So that's cool. That's me sort of manifesting what my grandfather did for, he always had some, I've got to go back here, and I've got a board meeting there, and I'm still on the board for this foundation. And I've just got to go do stuff. And he kept busy, and it was just always thinking and doing and planning. And he's the guy that bought a new car at 98 and bought the 6-year extended warranty.
Like you do, right?
Like one does.
That's very good.
Yeah.
There was a question actually that I want to try to cover, and I have to walk back over to look at COTA to do this. The question was, how do you do your first track day? And first off, I have to say it, you got to come to Hooked on Driving, and hopefully we'll be back at COTA. But look, I'm standing here because this is daunting, okay? Not only just being up here, but getting to this track. I talked to many people today who got here, and just the scale of the track struck them anew. They were like, I'm going to be good. I'm going to be really cool. I signed up on A, but I really could be B. Maybe I could be C. I got to COTA, and I went, what am I doing here? I had a lot of those conversations today, okay? But the reality is, the thing we do with Hooked on Driving, we're not the only ones, but the thing we do with Hooked on Driving is bring your car you love. Bring your car that's precious to you. Drive it for real. You can drive it here because the people that drive with us also care about their car. So that's important. So that everybody wants their car to go home happy and clean and shiny side up. Well, not clean, but shiny side up. Okay, so that's what we're all doing. So that's really cool. So there's less prep than you think if you want to do a track day. That's the thing I want to come across with. There's a ton of stuff you can do to make your car track prepped, but bring it like it is, unless it's leaking or falling apart. Don't do that. But if it's running, just bring it. And the thing is, we have instructors that we put in the right seat with you. If you come to us to Europe, there's right seat instructors there as well. And that's the whole point, is to make you comfortable in the car and make you better than when you arrived. And there's very little prep other than come, get here early, listen to your coach, be flexible. That's really all I can suggest.
Well, everybody learns differently, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
And I look at it as wanting to learn new things. And I have to teach myself, I have to remind myself that constantly. And that is always be ready to learn something, because we all get to the place where I think I'm got this. I've got a good bead on things. And sometimes you don't. You come to a track like COTA and it gets magnified. So I say, come, you can look at all the videos, you can look at the laps, you can do sim, you can prep, and that is important and good and valid, but also wanting to learn from others, because we all have so much to teach each other as well about, hey, my experience here. And that's what I'm loving hearing the conversations. Hey, oh yeah, let me help you out with this. It's like giving away the secrets. You're giving stuff away, and thanks. That felt really valuable. Thank you. That was nice.
That's a great point. I feel like, and this isn't just Hooked on Driving, but I see it with our events a lot, and that is, people aren't secretive. They don't want to
Right.
keep you at arm's length.
Yeah.
And that's easy. When we get into any of our hobbies, want to keep, well, this is my hobby. You can't come in, right?
Mhm.
That's a thing that's kind of a plague that happens. Pick your hobby. But I feel like I like seeing a coach is talking about the line and 3 other people walk over and go, what's going on turn 6? You know what I mean? I think that's great. And we're all
Mhm.
just giving it away, which is really fun because we're all getting better at it. And it feels so daunting at first blush. I'm going to go to the track. And I do think it's that same thing that happened here. I think people get excited, get to the track, and now are daunted, or get to the night before and are like, do I really want to do this?
Mhm.
And I think you just have to come out and try it and be slow, and that's fine. I went out at C group at one point today and was like, I'm going to go to B group. I'm just going to back it off a bit. But I had a great day, so that's really good.
That's excellent.
Trying to think what else we've got. If there are any other questions on the feed, great.
Excellent.
Andrew P is asking, having not been to Tail of the Dragon, what do you expect it to be like? What are you expecting out of that drive?
After all I've read and heard about, I'm expecting a bit of craziness, but then I've also talked to people who have said it's actually a fairly sane place. I've heard a lot of stories. You know, this is still a public road, and you don't need to PB on this particular stretch of public road. And I've just heard a lot of craziness, so I guess that makes me a little nervous because I want to, of course, drive it and enjoy the canyon roads and the scenery, but I don't want to be, inundated, I suppose, with just craziness, crazy drivers or crazy stuff going on. But that might happen too. I mean, we're used to TF days at the ring, so
We'll hope for low traffic. We'll see.
Yeah, low
We'll
traffic.
see. Low traffic, and nobody scratching their Harley as they lean it over. We'll see how that happens.
yeah, that'd be
That's a
good.
thing.
I would like
Yeah.
that.
What else? Anything else?
Speaker's Garage says, years ago, someone asked this question of Paul and his Cayman. Now he wants to ask you of your Emira.
Uh-oh.
What song would the Emira be?
Repeat the question. They don't know this.
What? Okay, so the question is, how did you answer this for the Cayman?
I think I composed an entire album.
You probably did. Okay, the song is what? The question was, what song is the Cayman? And now I'm being asked, what song is the Emira? The Emira was a song.
Emira was a song. Well, it's beautiful to look at.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
very easy on the eyes. It does sound good. It sounds different than most other cars. It doesn't have a shouty voice. It's graceful. There's an elegance to it. I keep saying there's a gentlemanly quality to it. It's not a loud, raucous, in-your-face car, and I think it's an acquired taste, and people glance at it. What is that? And is that a fur? The calipers say Lotus.
I had somebody say that to me today. This is, what kind of car is this? It's like,
Yeah.
it does say it on like 3 places. But
Yeah.
okay, it's all good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an acquired taste. Music that's not for everyone, a song that's not for everyone,
All right.
I suppose. And it doesn't have to be some obscure band from.
You know what?
The-
I'm going to fail on this. I think I am not
I think
enough
you're
of a
good. Well, you're
musician.
good at quoting sports scores. I'm like,
Yeah,
you're
somehow
not
I
in
pull
sports,
that
and
out.
you know baseball
Yeah.
stats.
No, that rarely.
Who are
occurs,
you?
but it does happen occasionally. I don't know that I can answer this. Here's a lame answer. Okay, but it's one I've got. What I was trying. This is not great, but I'm going to go there anyway. It's a love song to a woman that not everybody finds attractive. And the closest one I can get to there, because it's the one that popped into my head, is Meet Virginia by Train.
Okay.
So that's not quite right, but it's the first one in that category that I can think of that works.
Appreciating for many other qualities that don't
Just-
initially become apparent.
Doesn't have to be not someone attractive, just someone that most people are drawn to. Because most people are going to buy the Cayman. So whatever pop song we all know is an earworm, that's the Cayman. I mean, let's be honest. Let's be honest. No,
I've
actually, it's the
opened myself.
911. Sorry, 911
That's-
is the
I
earworm. That's the thing.
Happily take that.
It's all good. And then it's phenomenal.
It's
It's a great car. I
a
get it.
great car. There's lots of things. Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Anything else we've got rattling around in there?
And any other question that somebody has
anything
thought of
up
in the
here.
audience? Okay.
So you have a podcast, videos, travel company, track days. What is next for the everyday driver empire?
Sleep.
Yes. Sleep. It's things that we've talked about. So people are asking, well, you've heard, what is next? And we're talking about not a grander scale, but a different scale, because what we love most about these road trips are scenery. I have been on these road trips and and gasped at the scenery. And Todd's already thinking framing, like how is the car going to drive through the shot? All right, everybody, we're turning around. We're going back up the hill and we're coming down. We're getting the shot. I'm like, right. We have to.
I'm just
He's
rooting
right.
for you over and over and over. I
Like,
understand. Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yay. There it is for the first time ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we get the shot. And so let's go do that on an international scale. Let's go do some different kinds of things that are different scenery, beautiful scenery. And yeah.
You know, Jeff, you asked the question, and I think that the hooked on driving is a culmination of us looking for a pivot or an additive. Pivot's not right. Additive's right for a while. Okay. Because we love doing this show. We love what it's done for us and what it's done for others, which is crazy to say, but it's still true. And we love making the content, but at some point you've reached as fast as the treadmill you're comfortable going on the treadmill. It could go faster, but this is as fast as we're comfortable. And we've had to have a lot of conversations about, okay, I mean, I came in from a filmmaking background and wanted to shoot very high quality, but then YouTube would like you to be as fast as possible, which means as low quality as possible. So where on that scale am I comfortable? Because I'm typically Chance and Paul will both acknowledge, I'm the one that's always the bellwether for that. And I'm the one they're always trying to be like, can we be just a little faster? You know, and I admit that. But there was something where we were like, okay, we're reaching a place where more content isn't real. So if that's not going to happen, then what can we do that feels like it's connected to what we already do? And that's what came to Hooked on Driving. All right. And that's something that we're loving. And that's the reason we were excited about the culture and buying the company. And also to have something, and I hate to break it down this simply, but have something that makes money that is not connected to Paul and I made something else. And we just needed that, you know? So that's the thing that led us to Hooked on Driving. But Paul has said this many, many times. We bought Hooked on Driving, not hooked on tracking. And that is key. And one of the things that I've been very surprised to learn, and it started in 2015 when we released the pilgrimage film. And we had all those conversations. People were like, hey, if you took that trip, I would come. And I remember thinking,
that was a weird thing to wrap my head around.
I remember thinking, this is not a travel company. We make videos. You know, that's what we do.
Don't you know what we do here?
We just started a podcast. We make videos. This is all we do. But
that's a great idea.
But that has been such a pivotal thing, I think, for both of us. We have enjoyed that more than we expected to.
Yes.
And I mean, I had this experience on track today. I was riding right seat and enjoying that every bit as much as driving myself, which sounds weird.
That sounds weird.
You would just think you're not driving for yourself. You're hanging on for dear life while that person drives fast, and you're
hangs on for dear life.
yeah. Hopefully,
everybody's hanging on for dear life.
But and you're cackling about it and enjoying it and watching that moment when that person enjoys. And we have had that on our road trips too, where people are having a road trip on a road they would have never seen for any other reason, would have never come on for themselves. And they're having a moment where like, I get to see that right now. And I love that. And it's actually something that I've enjoyed about our road trips, as weird as it sounds, to be in some middle of nowhere part of some state I can't believe I'm driving through and be like, well, that's really cool. You know, as soon as we get out and just, you've seen us, we just kind of look at it for a bit, you know, and go, oh, that's really cool. And then we get back in the car. But those things I feel like broaden us and pull us away from the worst part of cars, which is I have to commute to work today.
Yes.
And I'm going to do this
for
an hour.
Yeah.
And I hate my car. And we just step out of our own lives and we understand why a car is great again. And it sounds so weird, but it's something that we've seen over and over and over. And I'm hoping, back to your question, that we're going to do more consistent trips that we can either share on camera or we can also share with others. It's just something that's very exciting.
I have an addition to that, and that is the part of Hooked on Driving that has entered our lives again. I've been trying to, it's so easy for YouTube videos to watch the counter and to want the counter to go up and know people are watching and know that means we're successful, and connecting that directly, that a subscriber count or a view count directly to success, and that being the measure of success. And it is not. I constantly have to divorce that in my mind. But what Hooked on Driving to me has represented is allowing me to dream big again. I can dream about big ideas. We come up with crazy ideas. We've come up with some for the show, for the media side of the business, Jeff. But this has allowed me to dream big again because we've got a lot of ideas we cannot share right now. We won't share, but it's Hooked on Driving. And I've told this to many of you. I have discovered that hooked on driving is important to people.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to put my finger on it. And it is the community. It is this. I'm going, we're a people business that screws around with cars.
Pretty much. Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah. We're almost
why is
that
this-
high, by the way. He's almost landing
Yeah.
on us. Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
All right. He's on. Okay. He's taking off. All right. It's amazing to have people come to an event like this or wherever, all of the regions, and just have discovered it's just important. It's a part of people's psyche. It's what you love, the things that you love, you want to do, and it taps into that. And I'm so excited, and it's allowed me to feed off that and dream again. Like, wow, what if we were able to do that, and it touched again, somebody, or not inexpensive sometimes, but it's like I said, it's just allowed me to think big again.
I love it. Another question from online?
Yeah, repeat what I say. The listeners can't hear.
Sure. Yeah, I got that. Yep.
Club Racer asks, will you ever go from just using one name and drop the everyday driver name and just switch to...
The question is, are we going to merge the brands? And the short answer is no. What's happened with Everyday Driver is that it started in our mind. It started in my mind as just a TV show, and that was it. And we've touched all these other little things that we've done, but it's all in my mind is content creation or media, however you want to think about it. So the intention is to keep Everyday Driver as the more media side, and have Hooked on Driving be the adventures, the track days, the trips, because it feels like that's a clean delineation. We like both brands. We like both logos. I mean, we were thrilled to discover that the Hooked on Driving logo also has just a look about it that seems to blend with the Everyday Driver logo. I mean, there were a lot of things about it that were instant synergy. So we don't intend to kill either one, because we think they have separate value and slightly separate things that they do, but obviously they are connected as well.
Yeah.
What else?
Agreed to that. Other things that people have thought of.
Lionel is asking, what are Todd and Paul's favorite cars to have owned that you don't currently own?
Lionel's asking favorite cars that we have owned and
currently.
no longer or don't currently own.
We drove an 86 recently. And I know you're tired of hearing about the GR86. I know you are. I hear you. Some of you are typing right now as I say that. But we drove it again recently. We were actually at Eagles Canyon Raceway with Toyota.
The Yuzu edition is coming, everyone.
Yuzu edition, yeah. And we both got out of it individually. We kind of looked at each other and went, my God, that's a good car. It's good. It's straightforward. It's not expensive, but it just does so many things right. So I miss having that. And we actually, at the start of our road trip that we took, Mike came with us for the first 2 days with that old show blue one with the gold wheels, and he rocks it every day.
Yeah, that's right.
It,
that's right. It's good to see that being
drives it like crazy, and it's been phenomenal. So I genuinely miss that. I also miss the 300ZX. I really do.
Yeah.
That was the right one. It was the right one and the right spec.
I'm glad,
and we had experiences with it.
So glad it came back.
But you and I have talked about this a lot, and that is it hits two things. One, we had great experiences. Some of them were playing today on some of the screens, which was crazy. It was weird to be, by the way, at COTA, being at COTA, driving on COTA, and on the screens, we were at COTA. That was really weird. That happened a couple times. I looked up and I was like, that's the Z on COTA, and I'm going out on COTA, and I hurt my brain.
For the first time, we're on the Jumbotron.
I didn't know that was a thing, but it was today. So I do miss the 300ZX, but I also have to keep this in mind. I don't think I would have driven it at least 1,000 miles a year. I just think it would have been a car that sat and didn't get driven, and I genuinely hate that when that happens to a good car. And the guy that has it, Rob in Wyoming, has refined it further since he bought it.
Oh, has he?
And drives it a lot. It needed
I
a
didn't
couple
know that.
little
That's
things.
good. That's good.
He did those things. He drives it daily. He has a lot of nice cars in his garage, and that's the one he drives the most. And I'm thrilled to hear that.
So what are you saying? Is that a shot?
No, it's actually not.
Okay.
It's actually not. I mean, you
the 928 is still in my life.
You and your 928 story is a whole saga of its own.
Put so much money into it. I can't.
I know.
Anyway.
You're so sunk cost into that. You're like, I'm never climbing out of this. May as well just keep it. Yeah, I get it. I understand.
No, I guess Maserati products.
Really?
I'm
Do
weirdly.
You want the QP5 back?
I don't want that back, but just
I was gonna say
having the noise. Was just
yeah.
thunderous and fun, and having this car that I wanted to care about but didn't.
Sure. I see that. Yeah.
I wanted to care about it and then realized I don't have to. It was so freeing.
It is freeing. That's what leads us to driving on the salt flats.
Why people buy Maseratis? I want to care about this, but somebody else will have to.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna be me.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. Anything else, Chance? Coming through?
Yes. We're go. Oh, Rich asked, how would everyday driver be different if you had both lived in Texas, California, or Florida the whole time? Maybe it means Colorado, not Florida.
Right, possibly. All right, question.
So how would everyday driver have been different if we lived somewhere else? Florida, California, Colorado, Texas. I mean, I will tell you that one of my very favorite things about what we do is putting a car on a cool road. And we've had many people ask over the years, why don't you show them in traffic? And I'm like, haven't we seen enough? I just, I realize that's the usability factor. I get the fact that you're going to sit in traffic. I understand that. And I can talk about if the seats are comfortable, if it's got a back seat, I guess. But let's just, we were trying to find that middle ground between informative and entertainment. You've got Motor Week on one side and Top Gear on the other. Okay. We're trying to find that middle ground. And I wanted it to look aspirational. Like, these are cool roads I'd like to be on. That is a driving experience I'd like to have. So that's the thing that we were always pursuing. And where were we going? I'm sorry.
I thought it would be more informational. I thought the show would have turned out more informational and less about the emotion.
Yeah,
which is what you always try to make come through on camera.
Yeah.
The thing that we're feeling, we just discovered the thing. We got to go back and do it 3 more times.
And
still feel it again, everybody, from the top.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely. That's the reset right there. Yeah. Yeah.
That part would be diminished, I think.
But I want to show a cool road. And sorry, back to the question of location. I think in Texas, in Florida, it's not as compelling. And thankfully we started in California, but then I was really thrilled when I moved to Utah that I wasn't seeing the same roads in our videos that I saw in everybody else's videos. I mean, it got to the point for a while, 10 years or so ago, where I could tell you which road and which turnout other people's videos were filmed on. I was like, oh, I know exactly where you're standing. And we were all shooting on exactly the same roads for like 2 or 3 years.
Saying exactly the same information.
To some degree, because we all got the exact same press material, and this is what you say.
Yeah.
So I always wanted it to be aspirational. So it would have been harder, I think, for this show to be as compelling, or for me, frankly, as interesting to shoot it if I didn't have those really cool mountain roads. And thankfully, we had them in California. We have them even more in Utah because they're easier to get to and work with. So I've really liked that. And that's something that we're going to hopefully continue to lean into. And I also, it's been an interesting journey of just getting press cars. Somebody asked us recently that had just actually started a YouTube channel that's been very successful, but they asked us if we were still having trouble getting press cars. And I was like, yeah. And they were like, really? You guys? Like, it never stops. And you fight constantly.
It's not Pringles. Stuff. They don't just have all the flavors and just which one? We're just awash in press cars. No,
you're constantly fighting.
It's tough. It's tough. Yeah. Certainly. The COVID era affected that quite a bit, but it is always tough.
Anything else coming out of there?
Yeah.
Dak asks, how do you guys keep yourselves generating new memories in your cars rather than reliving old ones or ones you've already made?
Another road trip.
Repeating the question now, and that is, how do we continue to make new memories in our cars that we're driving, rather than repeating the memories that we experienced before? Certainly it's location, and that's what leads us to not grander but more specific location kinds of trips. I mean, they're grander hopefully on by virtue of doing it in a different location, but it doesn't have to be long, but it can be very surgical locations. That would be different. I've got a car in this environment that's kind of interesting, kind of different.
And this is going to sound weird, but there's a couple of roads that we shoot near us in Utah, and I try to go up them, whether we're shooting our cars or not. I try to go up them in my car in the fall, just because depending upon what week you hit it, it's never going to look like that again.
Yeah,
which is really cool, just to get up there and not only see the fall colors, but just see that it's never going to look quite like this again. And doing it in slightly varied weather, it can be really cool. There were a couple of questions here. You had one.
So on this trip, you guys decided to include your filming and media coverage with the group that was joining you. And include, and actually, no spoilers, but feature a couple of the cars that have come along on this trip. Is that something that you're maybe looking forward to doing on future road trips? Because I know you have your Utah adventures that you're doing and the Beartooth Highway that you're going to be doing later this year. Is that something that you want to continue to include, or has it been a little too complicated and a lot of work, like you were kind of alluded to earlier? Is that something that you want to include in the future?
I think not on every trip.
But yes, because we're getting to experience these cars once again. And I have this thing about press cars. Once we've driven it and shot it, I want it out of my life. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to see it. Just take it away. We're done with it. But it's been really cool to have some of the greatest hits come back and you know, being owned by people. Wow, I get to experience and relive that. So I will say not for every trip, but certainly elements of that. I would love new things that we haven't experienced, and that doesn't have to mean exotic, expensive, crazy things. It can. I welcome that, but I still want it to be very relatable and still okay. We've got this, you know, different vehicle, different car on the trip.
I completely agree with him on that. To add to it, one of the things that's cool is a lot of our sponsors are excited about seeing product related to an adventure. So in that regard, I encourage it. We're doing our Beartooth trip later in the year, and actually Power Stop is actually the solo sponsor of that trip. And their mandate to us was, do something that you guys specifically do. And so the entire point of that piece is going to be about covering us driving other people's cars while people are with us on a road trip. And it's going to be about the fact that it is the community and the road trip and us driving people's cars on that and people swapping cars, which is something that has uniquely come out of these trips. And Power Stop just wanted us to tell a story that was us. So that's very cool. So that's something we're doing a little bit differently than this piece, which is more of our road trip for the year that has a destination of COTA and these greatest hits roads. So it's been interesting to find the places where we can connect the dots, but also there is something wonderful. It happened this year on pilgrimage. We just went. We didn't film anything. And our contact in Germany was like, can I give you this to film? I was like, you know what? Not this time. We're just going to be here with people, have a great time, drive, have good meals, and go home. So there's some freedom in that as well. So I think both are going to occur. But it's been interesting. Have a lot going on this week for sure. Yeah. I'm going to hold off on you for just a second.
I have two questions. The first question is, will HOD start offering autocross sessions in addition to the normal HPD as a cheaper way to get track time? And the second question is, will HOD start partnering with manufacturers to offer like HPD for like teen drivers, similar to how like Porsche and BMW, they offer like teen driving courses for teen drivers who just recently got their license?
I would love to do the teen driver thing. Getting up on its feet, I mean, having a teen driver. Getting up on its feet is a whole different animal, but it's something we'd like to do, and I think it'd be something we could easily partner on. Autocross, I'm less interested in, but autocross is something we've talked about as an add-on to some of our other events. I don't think Hooked on Driving would ever do a Hooked on Driving autocross and we're done. Having it as an add-on to something else we're doing is a possibility. It's going to really depend on venue, and some venues are more autocross friendly than others.
We've talked about car control.
Absolutely, yeah.
And using that, not all the time, but you know, investigating that and what resonates.
What we've found, and again, we're 18 months in, so we're learning all the time. But what we've found is that folks that want to come to a track day, while they may really benefit from what I would describe as autocross style car control exercises to actually learn braking and learn, weight shift at 20 miles an hour, they paid for a track day. Yeah. And they're frustrated that these many hours of their track day are spent in the parking lot chasing cones. So that's been something that we've kind of had to figure out how to manage. But then there are those folks, to your question, that just want to do an autocross because that's an easy entry point. Not against it, but we talked about this on a recent podcast. We kind of have a desire, because this brand already feels premium and kind of grand. We kind of want to stay there. And if we can add elements of travel and that kind of things that can stay with the brand, I think it'd probably lean more that way than toward autocross. But I'm a huge proponent of more driving instruction, teen driving, that kind of thing. If we can incorporate it, we will.
Agreed. Was there another question back here?
Bodie has one, but I want to
wait.
Right.
All right.
So I think for a lot of people, getting on track is daunting, right? So maybe thinking about like doing a piece of what to expect if you're considering doing this, bringing somebody in for the first day and like, hey, this is where you register, this is where you get your car, all of that. Would that be something that you guys would think about doing?
I have to be honest on this, don't I?
Yeah, you do.
Okay. All right. I love it. I love the idea of doing, here's how you do this track videos. Unfortunately, that's viewership death. It's just,
yes.
So,
getting somebody to come.
I understand. Totally agree. And so what we are having to do, and you've seen a little bit of it already, but what we're having, by the way, we're still on the screens down there. I'm sorry. I just now noticed. That's really weird.
We're
sorry.
still on the Jumbotrons.
That's still bizarre. Anyway, sorry.
That's awesome.
That moment. No, but having said that, we did some videos last year that were just for hooked on driving, and we want to do some more of those that are along the lines of what you're talking about. That it would be stuff that we would put out there for the use of hooked on driving, and it wouldn't be everyday driver stuff, because it just, I hate to say it, pick the best driver that you think is fascinating and a car you want to see. That video done on a road will get twice as many views as done on a track. So track stuff is just not broad enough, but for the right audience, I'd love to do more of it.
I think it's an excellent idea and done well. It's something that we're still wanting to figure out how to execute so it would be watched and very friendly and easy. So bite-sized chunks, I suppose.
Yeah.
Not just, really heavy, because we can get it to minutia so quickly. And when you come to a track day, I obsessed over tire pressures longer than I probably needed to today. And it's a lot of minutia, but it's fun to experience when it really matters. It's really quite intriguing to experience that. So
cool. Anybody else here? Yeah.
If you have like 10 different track days, each track probably has a different car that's like ideal for it. Would you rather be in the same car for all of them so you can kind of have like a dynamic, like kind of get to know that car in a lot of different circumstances? Or is it like, obviously you guys get to drive a lot of stuff on each track day, but if you had only one each track day, is it same one all the way through, or is it kind of finding the best car for the track?
Well, we all want to be Jay Leno, don't we? With
man,
that one today.
I'd like to find the best car for the track, something that is very well suited. There's a track here just to the northwest of Dallas called Eagles Canyon. Interesting track, and I'm quite positive that very short wheelbase cars would do very well there. I mean, we had the GR86, but the GR Corolla was actually pretty fun and entertaining on this track. I'm not sure the big high horsepower cars would do very well or be as interesting, I'll say. So I think it would be an interesting experience, but I welcome ideas on how to pull that off. Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to have, we joke about tool for the job. I'd love to have tool for the job for every track. And we talk about it every year because it's hard. Okay, this is not a problem I'm about to list, but I'm going to suggest it as a problem. When we go to the ring and spa, we have trouble figuring out which car we should have on each track because you pick one for the entire event. And you're like, yeah, but see, that's really a spa car. It's not really a ring car. And then you slap yourself across the face because you're debating this problem and you move on. So I'd love to have a specific car, but I think there is the reverse part of it. And that is you wound up on a track that you don't have the right car for, and you're shocked at what it teaches you. Because you realize, oh, I am doing that wrong, and I have got to drive this car differently to get around this track. And it's one of the things that happens at Thunderhill in Northern California. There's a 3-mile track layout and a 2-mile track layout. The 2-mile is very tight, and the 3-mile is big and fast. And the guys in the big and fast cars really don't like it when people do the full 5-mile consideration. Because for 3 miles, they're having a blast. For 2 miles, they're like, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. And for 3 miles, they're happy again. But I feel like that's the challenge, because we don't have the Jay Leno garage, which I love, but we don't. Anything else coming from online?
David asks, based on how well you know each other, if you had to pick a 2-car garage to expand the other's driving experience, what would you choose?
To expand the other's driving experience.
Okay, quickly repeating the question. Based on how well we know each other, what 2 cars would we pick for the other person to drive to expand their driving experience? Is that fair?
Very good, yeah. Volkswagen Taos. Paul gets a Taos. That is amazing.
How does that expand my
It just expands your tolerance level is all it really does. It doesn't expand your driving experience at all. It just expands your tolerance level. Yeah.
There's not a lot that you don't like. There's what don't you like?
You really need a lifted truck. You just need a big lifted truck that you have no purpose for, and you got to climb up into, and you drive it around the whole time going, why is this thing so big? Until you get to that place that I know is coming, because it happens to everybody that drives a lifted truck for long enough, where you just go, this is the greatest thing ever. I'm going to run over the world. So yeah.
Okay, fine. I'm selecting a Rolls-Royce Cullinan for you to expand your driving.
Sure.
Feel the plush carpet. Enjoy the wood paneled whatever.
The worst part of that would be I'd have to get out of it and be like, yep, that's me. There I am.
Yes, the embarrassment of having to do that.
I look like this. I drive that.
When you're filling the gas tank, you just look around nervously.
I'd have to have my people fill the tank so I can be seen.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. All bad.
Counts for a lot. Bentleys, Rolls Royces. Yeah. Bugatti. Maybe just something wildly.
You'd put me in something
ostentatious.
super powerful and big too, wouldn't you?
Something really
Just to
heavy.
really counterpoint me. Yeah,
Something
you
really
totally
heavy.
would. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe a lot of new BMW products. GTR.
Yeah, I'd end up in a GTR. Yeah, which
Get
is
you
a
a
phenomenal
GTR
car that
and a
doesn't
Rolls
need me at
Royce,
all. Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Like, great.
Well done. I like that.
You would
That's
say
good.
thank you through gritted teeth.
I would. So you have a Taos and a lifted truck.
Oh,
Be
goody.
awesome. Be great stuff.
Boy, does that go
Yeah.
together. Oh,
Anything
that's
else?
Nasty.
No, I don't.
We certainly don't have to.
Anything else up here? Anybody else? Yes.
After having driven some of these amazing tracks, are there still some aspirational tracks for either one of you guys?
Well, it sounds crazy. I think because we talk about Ring and Spa so much, but to be honest, there's a lot of tracks I haven't driven yet that I would love to drive. Tons of stuff in Europe, but honestly, Hooked on Driving now has a mid-Atlantic region, which is Carolinas and kind of working west, and they're doing everything from VIR to Road Atlanta, and they're actually at National Corvette Museum 28th to 29th of June.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, so that's the first one of the Mid-Atlantic. I've never done NCM. I've heard it's great. I'd love to go. I've never done VIR, which is iconic as it gets, and I've never done it. Would love to do it. Been curious about Road Atlanta. Haven't ever done Road America. I've seen video. This is how my brain works. I've seen video of Palmer, which apparently nobody really goes to because it's in the middle of nowhere. But I'm just like, that looks amazing. Plus, I also want to just drive it and film it. So that part of my brain works well as well. And that's not even like an iconic track, but it's a cool track based on what I understand. So there's a lot of tracks we haven't driven yet. And I have to acknowledge that, even though I think it's because we talk about some of the iconic ones we have. It feels like we've driven all of it. The truth is there's a ton of stuff out there.
For me, at Bathurst, Suzuka.
Ooh.
Two good ones.
Yeah.
Just for the excuse to travel and see all the scenery, cuisine, all the travel. I would like to do that. And, we got to get the right cars there, but different cars for the track. Those two at the top of my list.
That's cool.
Certainly there's more in Europe I want to do, but
Bathurst looks terrifying.
It does. It does.
Wall. Yeah, the whole time.
Yeah, it
sure.
does.
Anything else? Yeah.
Given all the road trips, do you guys have considerations for doing something maybe not competition based, but similar to like a one lap of America?
Interesting. We could turn it into, we could do something along those lines.
The only thing about one lap that I don't like is everybody's story. And I know somebody's typing, but everybody's stories are, yeah, man, that was a 16-hour day. I'm like, oh, it just doesn't sound any fun. I understand it's kind of the we got through it mentality, but there is a part of me that wants to drive 5 hours today. And I want to stop at that cool thing and that ridiculous roadside, whatever that is, and that kind of thing. I'm fed by that in a way that just marathoning. Like we have friends, the guys that do Ben that do Gears and Gasoline. They do some really cool road trip films. But every one of the road trip films when you watch is like, yeah, we drove 18 hours today and we slept 2 hours. We drove 21 hours tomorrow. And I'm going, oh God, no. So that's the part of one lap that doesn't interest me. Paul and I are surprisingly non-competitive with each other. And so we're just not, I don't feel like we're hardwired in a competitive sense overly. And so that's one of the reasons we haven't been drawn to it, because not always, but a lot of times, one of the things I like about Hooked on Driving, a lot of times competition kills fun, because now I've got to win, I've got to beat. And a lot of times it undermines the fun. And that's one of the reasons I'm not drawn to it typically, but I'm open to ideas.
Please, yes.
Follow up. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I did say non-competition. I like that. So maybe something similar like I forget what magazine does, but like Route to Vine. So like Matt Farah did that, where it was a road trip, and you kind of did a racetrack once or twice, but it was a very regimented schedule. That's kind of what I was more thinking.
Sure.
And, sure.
And that's a sense of our pilgrimage trips a little bit. I mean, you are getting a road tour day, you're getting some track days. The problem with those trips, the problem with those trips is once you include a track day into a trip like that, the price starts skyrocketing. And so that's one of the things we want to keep. I mean, let's be honest, Ring and Spa is expensive enough, but we still try to keep it as affordable as possible. But you're traveling overseas, you're renting a car, you're going to a racetrack, prices escalate. I like the idea of having, I'm of two minds. I like the idea of having those trips with those elements, but I also like to keep things as accessible as possible. And sometimes those are in conflict.
I think self-growth is self-competition, wanting to do better. Of course, competing against somebody else is interesting and fun, but it does have limits for me too. And just getting better by being around people who are really good, I want to be around those people and to bring my skills up. And so when I have a satisfying, even if somebody's still faster, or I'm faster than them, sure. But I want to be towed along too. I want to bring other people up to, higher skill levels, and I want to be towed along too. I like that. I like that self-satisfaction part for me. And so whatever that could look like, I think that would resonate with people, because competition can imply, money, time, and then what did you really get? That's why we adopt the RSR line. There's no F1 talent scouts here today looking for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else? I'm going to go to my son at some point. So yes, sir.
Yeah, for me personally, it would be Emira, specifically before the Ayrton Senna crash, specifically. So that's definitely one track I would like to do in the future, and something I've never done before.
I think it's an icon. I totally hear you on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's
Anything
good.
else before I give my son the opportunity to ask a question? Yes, sir.
Obviously, you came into this with different backgrounds. What kind of skills did you learn doing everyday driver that maybe you didn't think, would have come up as like, okay, I'm doing these film reviews, I have this skill set. What kind of skills did you develop over time that you thought maybe wouldn't have been part of the repertoire that you thought you would need?
I will say that my awesome wife, Kate, is a trained actress and very good. And I had no interest in being on camera. Zero. Didn't want to be on camera, wanted to be behind the camera. And then when we started having the idea for the show, I realized I directed enough at that point that the guy who's going to ride in the car is going to have all the fun, and I'm just going to get to edit it. So if I want to get in the car, I better get on camera. And I had no training, no background, and not a whole lot of interest, but just thought, all right, your joke you always make. Sit here, drive fast, do good, be funny, all those kind of things, right?
Be funny, say handsome, cool, interesting, funny things.
Yeah, that was the challenge.
Cool.
And so trying to get to a place where it can just be off the cuff, jump in the car. And sometimes this is as close to an actor as I get. Sometimes 45 things have gone wrong before the moment I shut the door and have to talk to camera. But I can't have all that in here. And so that's the place where I had to, for lack of a better way to put it, learn to act and just be in the moment, which is very hard for me. I'm always way up there and way back here and very rarely in the present. And so to get into the present and just be like, what's this car on this road in this moment has been a challenge for me, but it was required,
Certainly for me, it's been working on putting the hard stuff behind me and allowing myself to kind of say what I feel on camera and being comfortable with that and being okay that people are going to see that. And, we always joke, so that's what I look like, huh? So that's what I sound like. Huh, great. But I think it's being comfortable to be able to say and trying to find, what am I saying? What am I trying to say about the car or the experience, and just allow myself to do that, because a bunch of crap just happened. Flat tire, something happened. I'm pissed off. I'm frustrated about that, and I have to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to get this done. And so let it go.
Yeah,
that's always hard to do. So I'm constantly being challenged by that.
And sometimes people are surprised to realize that we don't script what we do. We have talking points. I have a sheet of, 8x10 sheet of some talking points and bullet points. Be sure you remember that stat and remember to talk about this, about the steering and that kind of stuff. But otherwise, you should get in the car and go. And so by the way, I don't recommend this approach, but it makes it an editorial challenge where we get in the edit and we build the back and forth in edit, and we find the consistency in edit, and we find the playoff in edit. Because other than knowing the basic premise of we're going to drive these two cars together for reason X, other than that, we don't even converge. We just go, okay, you get your thoughts, I'll get my thoughts, and we'll build it. So, yeah.
We always say, this is work. This is a work day.
It's crazy. This has been
trying to make each other laugh.
Yes.
And simply saying, all right, if nobody else was here or was watching, at least we had fun. At least we made ourselves laugh. The end.
And also the fact that
matters.
Completely. And it's also the thing where we have to feel proud to have done that thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm a year out, I see it over there, and I'm like, oh, that was cool, we did that. Which it takes me a while.
Like, that's right, we did review that car.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
You watched that?
Yeah, it's cool. It's great.
Thanks.
All right, Bodie, what do you got?
Of your road trips that you have filmed, which one is your favorite and why? And if you can't come up with an answer, do the exact same question, but with the feature films.
Not bad. Not bad. All right. I think the feature film, I think the Corvette film is my favorite. It was also the one that I nearly got in a terrible wreck during. So thank God that didn't happen.
Yeah.
That was it was very scary. It's the closest we've ever had to a really nasty, nasty disaster in the middle of one of our shoots. But if you haven't seen that film, the end credits is just, you just get to ride along with me as I have a staggeringly close near miss in a very expensive car. But anyway, but that's the one where I felt like we'd refined the concept the best. It's all of our feature films are walking through the progression of these series are all walking through the progression of the history of a car. I felt like it was refined the best and worked the best on that one. So that's my favorite of those. But I think my favorite road trip film, I was going to say Sierra, but it's second. We just dropped the Sierra one. It's South Dakota, because we had this idea to go to South Dakota, and then we kind of checked ourselves and went, South Dakota? What? But there were cool roads and it had a nice destination, and we're gonna see.
We
Mount
found some
Rushmore and
things.
Crazy
We
Horse,
found
and,
some things.
there's
out
stuff
there,
we can talk about, and it might be kind of funny. And we're gonna go to Badlands, and we kind of. I know this sounds weird, but I had the crazy idea, and I talked to Paul about it, and he was like, "Yeah, that sounds really cool." And I was like, "Is it? Is it though?" So we were back and forth a lot on that one, and it turned out really well. That has a cadence to it and a tone to it that is, I feel like, the closest to the target I'm trying to hit.
Yep.
So I really like
that's
that
good. I think it's the filmmaker in you that wants the stops and the non-car thing to talk about, and showcasing it at a different angle and seeing things. That's what certainly I've learned. Every single one of our trips is fantastic. I enjoy it. I think it's really.
It's that road trip thing. You want to get out of the car. You want to do something else, and you want to drive cool.
Yeah, for being in the car for hours, for sure.
Yeah. Anything else from anybody up here? Probably getting close to wrapping up. But
Paul didn't answer.
Okay. Yeah.
Favorite road trip. Okay. Favorite feature film was Mid-Engines and Mountains for me, because we were driving aspirational mid-engine cars, but still don't feel like we really knew what we were doing on that trip.
We didn't. Yeah, we were finding that format. That's the format that we do now.
Yes, but for people to say and tell us how that affected them or resonated with them, I'm thinking to myself, there were cameras running, not enough, clearly.
Yeah.
And we just drove and talked about a cool road and had some fun, but it was a slog. It was hard for me.
Yeah.
It was difficult, I guess, but it was cool to see how that affected other people.
Okay.
Certainly.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I'd say that. I didn't think it would be Mid-Engines Mountain, because we had so many nice ones, but
cool.
But that one resonated because it felt so off the cuff. It felt so on the fly, last minute. This is hard. What are we doing here? Kind of feel.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You got another road trip one that you like though?
Road trip film. Sierra's was up there. I'm going with Adventures. I have to say it's the Adventures when I'm seeing a line of cars and we're all together and it's friends.
Yeah.
Beartooth has been up there, the Utah Adventures. It feels like a film to me, but it just feels like we're doing it with all of our friends. So I would say it's the Adventures. And so we're leaning into that even more.
It's cool. Anything else online we should cover?
I wanted to ask you, how many days a week or month do you drive professionally for the show? It's in particular.
Well, we always say our cars have to be camera ready at all times, because we might need a pickup, an additional film. You don't have a piece of film. I mean, you've taught me, if we didn't get it on the day, we don't have it. We can't put it in the film if we didn't get it. So we overwork to make sure we've got the piece of film, and cars must always be camera ready. And so that there's not a regular cadence is the point.
But we do shoot for test drives. We shoot once a week. And if we have two cars, we might end up shooting 2 days that week, but generally we shoot once a week to get a test drive done. We've got that pretty well dialed. So that's single car stuff. And then we try, it's not always the case, we try to have a big comparison shoot once a month, which is typically 2 days and sometimes 3. So that's the most normal cadence. But what ends up happening every single year, and this road trip's an example, is because we spend all the winter months in Utah not being able to get press cars, not being able to shoot anything outside, we end up shooting a lot between May and October. So that once a month
Yes.
cadence that we dream about becomes like, we're doing 3 things this month, which is okay. But then we've now had this crazy idea we're leaning into these road trips. So we also have some film that takes 5 days, and we love it. But 5 days go by. We get back into real life after that. Yeah.
I do not want this evening to end. I'm
It's
just
really
so
cool.
enjoying being up here with all
It's
of
really
you.
cool. You're enjoying yourself. Look how close you're standing to the glass.
I know.
I'm
I'm getting
amazed.
more comfortable.
I can't even believe it. I'm astonished.
I'm trying to
Anything
not
else?
do that.
Anybody before we close this down? Anybody else have thoughts? Anything else online? That light is now killing me. Okay, hi.
Well, since we've combined both brands for this trip, our sponsors have stepped alongside us. Thanks to FCP Euro, they've stepped alongside the Hooked on Driving brand, which is fantastic. And they are about educating you for the right part for your car. FCPEuro.com. Griot's Garage. I love it when the Griot supplies come out and everybody's detailing their car.
I had a guy come up to me today asking about other products. He was like, well, I've got speed chime, but do you have the bug and smudge remover? I was like, I don't have that today.
Like,
Sorry.
not today.
But yeah, it was good.
Autotempest.com when you're shopping, autotempest.com/everyday, because they know that we sent you there. And also Vredestein Tires, equipping the cars, many cars on our trip for coming all the way out here. Thank you to Chicane Footwear. We love Chicane brand. We think it's awesome looking. I got complimented on my GT3 shoes.
For sure. You had great shoes on there. Those are awesome.
Pretty cool. And Power Stop Brakes. They provided brakes for many of the cars.
Yeah.
We find their products fantastic. OEM +1, excellent stuff. And thanks to all of you for coming. We really,
this is really cool.
Couldn't do it without all of you. It's been quite building up over the years.
1,000 podcast is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna stand back here. I know you're not, but I'm gonna stand back here for a second.
Stand up here
because I am truly astonished to not only be up here, because that seems weird. I mean, like, tell me 10 years ago, you're going to stand at the top of COTA Tower, which first the question would have been, what are you talking about? But stand at the top of COTA Tower and talk to a bunch of people that are going to sit there and want to be there. And that floors me. So thank you guys for coming. And it really is the audience that you guys are and the friends many of you have become, and the fact that you want to take these adventures with us, that allows us to have this crazy job. And I am eternally thankful for that. And it is astonishing. And the fact that you and I get to hang out and talk cars and laugh is the greatest thing ever.
It's great. So you know what comes now is how we always end the podcast. It has to be the same for podcast episode 1000. How do we end it?
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you very much for watching.
Good night.